yourself a pen and paper or pencil. Um, we're also asking for confidentiality. So everything that happens here is spoken here, stays here. We ask you to be fully present. And if something comes up and you need to take care of it, just take yourself, you know, off screen. The other things we'd like to do is ask you to refrain from using the chat mode unless we ask that of you. We ask you to keep an open heart, to be kind and take care of yourself. Your feelings are not too much. Your emotions are not a weakness. Your story deserves witnessing, not fixing. You get to feel it all, and your emotions are evidence that you are alive. And now I'm going to hand it over to Maggie.
I am like the welcoming committee. We're so excited and so thrilled from the bottom of our hearts to have you welcomed into our circle and to thank you for attending the celebration of our book, Permission Slips for Claiming Our Emotions. This book marks an important point of a journey that we've been on together, and a little bit of background for that. We were in an emotional mastery online course together, and because we were so deeply touched by what we were learning and discovering along that path, we decided we wanted to keep exploring more, even after it completed. That was over 4 years ago. So we committed to a weekly 2-hour Zoom call that consisted of our own individual emotional check-ins that was kind of used a bit for for the research and development that was used within the book. And then during that time was incorporating our writing. We were also there within a frame to hold each other in a manner of our own emotions for what we were going through at times. And as you might recall, during that time frame of over 4 years ago, that stretched over a worldwide occurrence of a shutdown and the turmoil that that brought into everyone's life. So the layers of this book, in a way, have evolved what I consider out of an emotional ash, the ashes that it seems like have been a part of that we have rose up from. This time in history brought many of us into the deep feelings of our lives, and we chose to feel that together as a courageous group. So even though we haven't, for the most part, met in person, we committed to our weekly 2-hour meetings for an emotional check-in, to process our emotions that were present, to structure the time for writing. And with all of that, we noticed that within this container, our lives were experiencing some profound changes. And perhaps something was taking form. We were just living in the mystery of sorts. So today we're here to celebrate with you our book that has taken form and to enlarge our circle to you, dear future reader, or some of you present readers. So all of us are holding up our book now. It's kind of like our baby. We're so thrilled and excited and big celebration. So woo, all that, all that, all that. Yeah. So a quick overview of what we can what we're doing on the call today and what you can expect is, first we're going to share a little bit about the book. Then we're going to weave in some readings, a few excerpts from the book for you to experience. And finally, an exercise to do an emotional check-in and give yourself a permission slip to claim for yourself. So over to you, Holly.
Thanks, Maggie. Yeah, we thought it would be cool to just share a little bit about how we came together and why we wrote the book as well. And I remember at one point in our writing journey, being a little bit of a researcher, decided to interview each of us very formally, and thought we would use that for the basis of the book, which turned out not to be what we did, but it did give us a really good insight into why we were writing the book. And every single one of us was writing this book and doing this emotional mastery work because we wanted to connect more deeply with ourselves and kind of become clear on the direction we were going in our work lives, build better relationships with our loved ones at home and our friends, and also with our clients as well. We learned from emotionally fit leaders. A big shout out to them because they were the catalyst for this journey today. on their emotional mastery course. And yeah, we knew that we needed to be able to be present with the depths of our own emotions and the intensity of our own emotions in order to be able to hold space for that in our clients as well. And I was reminded last week by my co-authors that I actually invited them to write this book pretty early on, and I thought it was right at the end. So time moves in its own way for me. And I'd actually written a co-authored book with Nicola Humber at the Unbound Press already, where I just wrote one chapter. And I said to the group, I think it would be really powerful to put some emotional, really courageous conversations out into the world about emotions. And that was our brief. We didn't know a structure for our book. We didn't know what that was going to look like. And my intention for it was really that we wrote a very integrated book. So this wasn't going to be each person goes away and writes a chapter and then we compile them. And I had no idea how to do that level of collaboration. And it turned out, looking back now, that we really needed to be very aware of our own emotional landscapes, and that our process of starting every call by simply showing up and naming the emotions that we had felt in the last 24 to 48 hours allowed us to notice that dynamic in our group. And because we set that tone at the start of every call, we knew where each person was at. And part of the learning from that creative process has been that we had to operate really differently than what we may have done on collaborative projects in the past or teams before. We had to realize that resilience is not about toughening up and pushing through. It's actually about opening up and allowing each person to be where they're at in the moment. We let go of expectations of ourselves and each other. I think there was times when every single one of us had a freak out and thought, do we really want to put this level of vulnerability out there? This is like the diary level stuff that I don't really want to tell anyone. So the book has worked us, let's say. And really, we picked up this phrase as we worked together, which is that the shift is getting real. And that was really, the shift was this realization that there's nothing more we need to do with our emotions than be present with them. And I know for myself, especially with some of the emotions that are really difficult to go to, there's a tendency to go into our heads and think, but what do I do with them? What do I do with them? And we can't just sit and be still with them and welcome them like a sister, a brother, a friend. And that's what the invitation is. And that's what permission slips really means to us. And, ultimately, we don't necessarily need a permission slip, but in the beginning we do. and I think the joy of being in a group has been that we have found the courage to be witnessed in our full spectrum of emotions. And we have also witnessed each other without judgment and with compassion and presence. And that's been a wild ride for all of us in all directions. So we believe that being with the mess is a good thing. We believe that in the courage of being vulnerable. We believe in facing and being with all of our emotions rather than distracting ourselves and saying, oh, I'll go walk in nature, or I'll go do a meditation, or this or that. It's like really being present with them. And really, we came to realize that each of us were seeking our own permission slips. And we've shared some of those permission slips on our website if you want to take a look at any point of kind of, at least for my personal permission slip, it's kind of a summary of the lesson I was learning as I was writing this book. And so you are really going to get a deep look into our shadow selves and our little ones that are, shoved into the shadows at times. And also our wise selves and our nurturing selves instead of, that voice that likes to criticize and pull us down all the time. And we know that for so many of us, ourselves included, that there's so many beliefs around emotions, things like they're less than logic, they're useless. People come with all sorts of different beliefs around this. They're to be hidden was a big theme in our group. We all have had experiences where we were told that's too much, go to your room, don't be like that person. I can see lots of you nodding as I say these things, and these are universal experiences. So we really wanted to change the paradigm, and that's our permission slip, is like, let's change that paradigm and create some space where we can actually be present and be witnessed as our full, true and whole selves. And so that's what we're hoping we'll give you a taste of today. And so we'd just love to know, type a yes in the comments if this resonates at all, what I've been sharing. And particularly if you're coming to this with some curiosity about connection or collaboration. Amazing. We've got lots of yeses coming through. Hell yes. Love that. Exclamation marks. Yes. Thank you. So Deborah, I'll hand over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Holly. And, as Holly mentioned, and also Maggie, emotions are part of our humanity. It's how we know we're alive. From the depths of despair all the way up to the expansiveness of love and joy, and those emotions that make you feel like you're going to burst open. Our emotions matter and they serve us. I don't know about you, but when I was a child, as Holly just said, I got sent to my room when I had big emotions. The exact words were, go to your room, nobody wants to see that. And, that kind of shuts people down right away. I had those big emotions. I took them to my room. And if you read the book, you'll find out what I did with them. And, most of us learned a handful of words to name our emotions. We've got mad, glad, scared, sad. And our society has broad terms. Oh, you're upset, or I'm feeling stressed. Those are pretty vague terms. But what if, when we were little and growing up, what if we had been given an expansive and nuanced vocabulary to describe our emotions and had been given permission to experience them? So Conrad, here's the big reveal. What if instead of mad, glad, sad, and scared, we got this group of words? And this is not, this is not everything. These are the things that it's a pretty wide range. At the lower end are those constrictive emotions that we make us feel tightened up and cut us off from ourselves and from others. And as you move up, you get into those really expansive emotions. And feeling our emotions, all of them, that's our birthright as human beings. Unfortunately, what's more typical is we stuff them down or we numb out because we've been told that it's a sign of weakness, or we get afraid that they might overwhelm us. I talked to one person about the title of this book of, permission slips for claiming our emotions. And she said, oh my God, I need a permission slip for taming my emotions. But, when we don't express our emotions and when we don't acknowledge them, they build up and they come out sideways, and that can harm other people and it can harm ourselves. Research, however, has shown that by simply noticing and naming our emotions as precisely as possible helps to lessen that charge. And it gives us space to express them safely and to decode their messages and to embrace them as very powerful guides. When we had our emotional check-ins, we would come up with our terms got more and more nuanced. And in fact, if you get the book, you'll see at the end, one of the resources is a glossary of emotions that sort of shares what we have came up with in terms of the messages and the functions of different emotions. And we give you a permission slip of, what to do with that emotion and where it might lead you. The other thing I wanted to touch on is that most of us have an emotional comfort zone. That's kind of the range of emotions that we are willing to notice and experience. It's the things we'll say most often. But when we expand our comfort zone, expand our vocabulary, and not just our vocabulary, but our familiarity with and our relationship with those emotions, it really helps us to cultivate resilience. So if you think about it in terms like yoga, or for example, if you can reach down to the ground and at the same time reach up above your head, the more you can do that and the more you can stretch that ability, the more fully human you are and the more resilience you have. And heaven knows, with all of the chaos and changes that are happening in the world these days, resilience is a pretty handy thing to have. So I'd like to invite Owen to share a poem. This poem opens the book, and I'd like to invite her to share it for us now.
Thank you, Deborah. I'll just say this was written probably 6 months into our process. Yeah, so pretty much at the beginning. Today, you are being heard in a new way through this collective group of fierce women warriors on a quest to normalize and experience all our emotions. Yes, I feel your fear and excitement vibrating as you put pen to page, your compassion and passion for the newness of this shared space and the wisdom that holds us. You are the voice of your soul's essence and many generations, the one who has chosen not to repeat patterns of emotions so deep and so painful it has cost her and created her. The emotions that now get named, not glued like glitter scattered on a blank page, beautiful, messy, sometimes sticky, can be shifted by the slightest breeze. It's with this awareness of all our emotions and witnessing them, we have come to share our maps to seeing, being, and healing each other and you. I'm here to say, don't stay silent. Breathe into your voice. Don't stay silent. The quiet one who lives loudly within, step out. We have you. This comes as an expansion of your language of emotions. Feel and express your full range. I'm here to tell you, we have you. We love you. You matter. Your emotions matter. Naming them matters. Being witnessed in them matters. Bring on the ease, grace, and love. The darkest flames of rage, it matters. The passion, love, and violence boiling, it matters. The seen and not heard, I want to hear from you. It matters. Together, we can surf this ocean of emotions and flow with the tides and waves. Breathe.
Thank you, Lola.
Welcome. I just have to shake it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're going to move to an interactive experience with Maggie and Marna.
Thank you so much, Owen. I still get goosebumps when I hear that. Whew, powerful. As Maggie and Holly shared, we've been meeting for about 4 years now, weekly, beginning our calls with an emotional check-in. And we reflect during this check-in, we reflect on which emotions we've experienced in the last 24 to 48 hours. So we would take turns naming and feeling into the emotions that have been present for us and perhaps were still lingering, while others held space with witnessing, acknowledging what we were feeling with so much compassion and curiosity, and occasionally asking more questions to further our exploration and healing. And this simple yet powerful practice has formed the foundation for our group, our journey together, this book. And we really are excited to share part of this process with you today. So We wanted to give you a taste of doing an emotional check-in. This is for personal reflection only, so you can make sure you have your pen and paper handy now. We will not be asking you to share your answers with others or in the chat, so it's just for your journal, for your eyes only. So for the purposes of today's exploration, we wanted to keep things simple and just invite you to recall one specific event, situation, or interaction you've experienced over the last 24 or 48 hours. There are no right or wrong answers, just whatever jumps to your mind, trust that that's just right for this. And Conrad's going to post the spectrum of emotions here for you again, so you can see, get some ideas if it's helpful. And in recalling this event or interaction, you may remember some emotions that you felt in that moment. Perhaps you recall some that were lingering around afterwards. You may notice some emotions that come up even as you recall the event. They often stay with us. So every emotion is valid and allowed here, no matter how intense or fleeting, whether they contradict, whether they seem right or not. They all belong here. I'll give you another few moments here to record the emotions.
And permission to name none or blank. That was something I experienced when I first came to this work, you know. Sorry for diving in there, Mona.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, as you look at your list and recall the situation that prompted it, we're inviting you now to choose just one emotion that feels the strongest or most present for you right now. Again, simply noticing what's true without judgment, only curiosity, and take a moment to record that.
And I'm just going to pick up on a comment in the chat, if that's all right, that, you know, so often when we feel emotions, we come with this idea that we need to shift them. And our call is actually to be present with them, because it's in the being present that the release comes. It's not in the trying of trying to shift them. It's in getting really, really present. So just wanted to make that distinction.
Thank you. Maggie.
Yeah. So at this point, and as you're probably noticing with this exercise, time is slowing down a bit. You're slowing down a bit. There's some expansive space that's actually occurring. And that's good. That's sometimes what it takes, especially when we're starting to feel into something that we've never felt into before, offering that spaciousness. So just notice as you're sitting with this particular emotion, you know, what you're noticing. It could be there's thoughts. It could be that there's judgments. It could be a sensory something or other. It could be a tightness in your chest, heart palpitations, sweaty palms. That's one of my favorites. It's something that your body is giving some type of a reaction or a sensation when that feeling, that emotion is starting to be present for you. So as much as you can, stay with that, like what we were speaking about, to allow yourself to be accepting of this. It takes being quiet at times like this for an exercise to really get into the process of it. So know that you're doing an amazing job just being there with the presence of your emotion. Now, I'm going to take it another step and ask for you, or offer the possibility of what it's like to offer this emotion a microphone in your imagination, of course, and see what you can hear if you were to offer a microphone to this emotion for the unique input of what it might want to share with you. What would it say? Maybe jotting it down. What might it want to express that it's had permission before to say, and maybe it's something that's new and unknown, and you're allowing more spaciousness now, an invitation to courageously have more come out, more expansive permission. So I'm going to be quiet here for a little bit and just allow you to write down what it tells you, because these are small voices sometimes, the still small voice. And sometimes it's uncomfortable and sometimes nothing comes up. And you can write down that too. If nothing comes up, write that down. Just notice. So I'm inviting you to connect with this microphone, this voice. See what comes up, and I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes or a few seconds here. That's it. Just tap in. It's okay. Very good. That's it. Now, as you're ready, invite a different part to come in that might be the voice of a wise, compassionate voice that is you, or it feels, maybe it doesn't feel like you, but it's has this idea that's has wisdom to it, and it has some ideas about permission that this part might need, this emotion might need. And so what we're going to do is kind of just start to understand that there might be a permission here that you can write down for yourself and for this emotion. A permission slip for you that's related to this emotion. Something like, I give myself permission to feel sad. I give myself permission to be bold, or to be filled with doubt, or to not understand. I give myself permission to be confused. Notice what permission slip might just slip out easily. Try not to hold back. That's it. Feel into it, what it feels like. Notice what it feels like, possibly like what we were talking about earlier. There might be a shift. Instead of feeling the emotion only, might feel like a little bit of a shift when we're moving into more of the expansiveness of permission. Maybe the release that feels like sometimes of permission. Just notice Be curious. Nothing is right or wrong. It's just a noticing. It's a getting used to a process that might be brand new and may not feel like you're secure enough, but know that you're doing exactly the right thing to start tapping into more of that human part of you that is our guidance system, which is called emotions. And now, Marna, I'm going to pass this back to you.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I'm going to read from the section called Permission to Love Yourself and All Your Parts. All parts of us matter. Why does it matter that you, dear reader, experience your emotions? Because you matter. All parts of you. Experiencing your emotions lets you reconnect to these parts and reclaim them. You have parts within that are wise beyond measure and deserve to be heard. You have parts that you bury way down deep because you're ashamed of them. There are parts that feel alive, playful, curious, full of wonder, free, and others that were shattered in 1,000 pieces. You have parts within that are deeply loving. You also have parts that feel harsh and judging. There are parts that feel cut off, dismissed, cast away, and parts that rise up at inconvenient times, bringing pain and suffering. You have parts within that are fiercely determined to speak up, to take a stand, and parts that feel powerless. You have parts that are longing to feel connected to something much greater than yourself. We all have these parts, and they all want so badly to feel heard, loved, and to know they belong. When we allow our emotions to be true, it's like we're letting these parts know, I'm here, I'm listening, you matter. When we allow our emotions to be there, it's like we're giving our parts a voice. They can tell us what they want, what they need to feel whole again. We are whole, and we deserve to feel whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. I love that so much. Every time I hear it, I love it even more. So I've been given the altar call task. I've been given the invitation to tell you why you should buy this book. And so, we have this beautiful gathering of people that we know and love, and you all know and love us. And I'm sure you might be feeling like, oh, I should buy this book because I know Deborah or I know Holly, and oh my God, I love Marna. I'm telling you, don't buy the book because you love us. Really, don't do that. You should buy this book because you love yourself. And you should buy this book because we love you, whether we've met you or not. And we want you to join our circle. The book at the very top of the book, it contains an invitation to join the circle and to be the virtual 6th member of our circle. And we're hoping that we will have thousands of 6th members of our circle. Because permission slips, yes, it's a physical book, but it's more than that. It's a gentle hand on your shoulder. It's a reminder that you don't have to do this alone. It's an invitation to dance with your emotions, all of them, and to reclaim those parts of yourself that you thought were too much or too broken or not enough. The book invites you to pause, take a breath, and take a radically different approach to life, where you claim need to be overcome. Permission Slips is an emotional toolkit that combines deeply personal stories that we were all more than a little nervous to release to the world. It also includes gentle but powerful practices to help you build emotional resilience. And there's some actionable insights and some soulful guidance to help you unlock the wisdom of the full spectrum of who you are. And then, of course, there is some simple but profound permission slips for every step of your journey toward a life of purpose and joy. So Holly mentioned our website, courageous-hearts.com. The website has links to order the books in the US and Canada and the UK. You can also go to your favorite bookseller and ask for it by name. And at the bottom of the webpage, we have a form to join the waiting list for some live emotional check-ins that we're going to be offering in the near future. And there's also photos and links to our personal websites if you'd want to follow any of us as individual authors. So I really look forward to welcoming as many of you as possible and your friends into our circle of permission slips and exploring our emotions. Back to you, Holly.
Thanks, Deborah. And so we thought we would save the last portion of today just for any takeaways, anything that's come up for anyone that anybody wants to share. So at this point, you're invited to share anything that you want to in the chat, and don't feel that you have to. It's just an invitation. Or if anyone wants to unmute and just share a few words about how things landed for them today, we'd love to hear from you. And you can do that simply just by, if you raise your hand, and then Conrad will unmute you and you can chat away. I can see Melissa's got to run. Thanks for being here, Melissa. And we've got some lovely comments coming in the chat here that I'll just read. Comforting words from the lovely poem. Yeah, I think that poem is so moving. I know when I read it at the start of the book, I took a big in-breath when I first saw it printed. Thank you for all the congratulations as well. Takeaway, I can just be. The books come at the perfect time and dovetails with the work I'm understanding. More congratulations. So yeah, thank you all for that. Diana, see if you can unmute yourself, or Conrad, if you could.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to say how this mirrors the work that I do as a yoga therapist, and that often the women I work with have been hospitalized for extreme, what I consider an extreme sensation of emotion, and the judgment around that it's too much. Now, I'm not saying that medication or hospitalization is always wrong at all. I'm just saying that I feel that so much of what I'm guided to do, one of you used the word normalize, and normalizing goes so far, even to somebody with overwhelmed to a degree that feels that they are losing it or breaking in some form. So I just thank you for what you're doing, and wanted to mention the degree to which this is deeply active, including all the way to that point that we think is sort of separating from society, and is often a separation because the time and presence hasn't been allowed to the sensation. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Diana. And I think you speak to so many things that resonate for me. I mean, you know, my emotional comfort zone didn't want me to go to the violence I felt over trauma, and didn't want me to be present with anger, which is a natural response to a boundary being crossed. I always remember the Emotionally Fit Leaders team sharing that, and that phrase has just stayed with me for so long. And I think that when we do this work, it's, at least for me, I've been terrified at times, literally terrified to admit how I feel. And fundamentally, it's been to myself, and it's my own inner demons, if you like, that have kept those parts of me squished. But it's also the cultural norm. And I think that being in a group where you come and name your emotions opens that door to feeling safe to have those emotions. And I would say I've definitely tiptoed up to it at times until the moment comes when it breaks through. And so some of the things you're speaking to there, just, the ego really doesn't want to shift and can grip hard. And it certainly has for me, even up until this weekend. Bringing this book out, something really big came up for me last week, and took me to the depths, and was terrified to feel those emotions. And when I did, I was like, oh, it's like we're all just walking ourselves home, and we think that we want those emotions to be witnessed externally, but actually it's in others witnessing us sometimes that we give ourselves permission to have it and to hold it and witness ourselves and bring that compassion to ourselves. And it's that return back to wholeness, really. Anyone else want to share? Please feel free to raise your hand. So I can see W. Alan Taylor. I don't know what your first name is there.
Yes. First of all, I just want to say thank you. Congratulations on the book. I'm looking forward to reading it. And I have to say, I'm glad I attended this webinar, this open permission segment that you all presented, because, as a man, I don't get a chance to talk about emotions with other men very often. I'm not going to speak for all men, but I will say that even from a child, that I was always, and this is a story of a lot of men that I know, I've been taught to suppress, especially particular emotions. Anything that communicated weakness, or that some so-called masculine way of feeling and expressing, was absolutely, it was discouraged. So, it's really, I think this is a wonderful reminder that we do have permission. And, I have a theater background, so I spent many of my years as an adult working with emotions of acting and working as a teacher with students. So I'm not foreign to that, but it's still kind of amazing to me how little I have a chance in just my normal life to have this kind of discourse. So I do think that it's important, and I hope that other men will. I'm certainly going to buy the book and read it, and I hope that it's shared with other men. I hope that other males will read it as well, because it's something that needs to be. I think it really needs to be given a giant microphone, particularly in this ultra masculine environment that is a part of this zeitgeist we're in right now politically. That's not just mean-spirited, but totally non-empathetic. And I think that and also I want to just say that the whole thing about vulnerability and empathy should not be something that men think is just for women to do. And I feel like there's so much of that still happening in this day and age. And you would think that after all the years of this being a topic, that it would be easier for men to talk about. But it's it's not from my point of view. So anyway, thank you so much. I don't mean to overtalk here, but I really appreciate the fact that I was able to make it, and good luck with everything with the book, and I'll be buying one.
Thank you so much. Such wonderful words there. And, I think one thing when we talk about emotions is we talk about it being our humanity, because it can be something that's perceived as so gendered. Yeah, I know my partner joined a men's group and he was like, oh my gosh, men never talk like this. And I think that's a story that we hear a lot from our brothers. And so thank you for sharing that experience. Really, really appreciate it. We've got more comments in the chat here, but while I'm just having a quick look at those, if anybody else wants to speak to the experience today or just thoughts that are coming up for them, we'd love to hear from you. Just raise your hand and Conrad will bring you on, or you can just unmute. And we've got more echoed in the chat just around using what I'm learning to allow feelings about a very surprising thing that happened. And it's amazing, right? How often we push the emotions away, we don't sit with them, and then it festers and we get what we have learned to call an emotional hangover. It lingers for days and days and chews us up, right? And that's the gift of getting present. And one of the rules that we haven't really touched on today, but when we do these check-ins, we really try not to get into the story, and we really try to focus on just naming the emotion. And that can be really hard in the beginning. I know for me, I certainly felt numb. I struggled to feel things. And it was only when others named things that I'd go, oh yeah, I'll have a little piece of that cake as well. And I would just echo that, this has been a practice for each of us. And it's not I think when I started this journey, I thought that healing was a destination to get to. And I think what emotional mastery has taught me has been that actually it's learning to be with myself every single day. It's not an end destination. And that's been a huge paradigm change for me. And I know we've got people who are stepping out here. We've got people saying it's been moving and connecting. And thank you for loving our backgrounds. That was Deborah's incredible work, getting our book cover onto the back wall for us. So to close today, Ev, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to say something because I am so thrilled, encouraged, excited. I am like the upper tier emotions are just bubbling up in me for all of you, and the gratitude I have to all of you for bringing this forward, and also the appreciation of men being in this circle too, because the work I do with men is so important. And Mr. Taylor brought up the reasons why. So thank you with much gratitude. Love you all.
Thank you so much, Irv.
Thank you.
I just need to add to you, Irv, is that in a way, you kind of vaulted us into this book, because when we were going through the emotional resilience program and we were coming up with and trying to parse and talk about emotions, you said, I think you all have the nuggets of a glossary. What if you, and it wasn't an assignment for the program, but we just sort of took it on. And one of the reasons we continued meeting afterwards, part of it was we wanted to keep connecting, but the other was that glossary still needed a few tweaks or two, maybe a few hours of polishing that up. That's why we continued to meet. We thought we were producing a glossary. And as it turned out, the glossary was the way in, and everything else came pouring after that. So thank you to Irv and basically everyone from Emotionally Fit Leaders who's on this call today. We owe you a huge debt of gratitude.
Yeah, thank you.
Carol and Angela and Justine, and oh my goodness, yeah.
So grateful.
And so I think there's only one last thing to say, which is, woo, thank you all.
Woo,
Thank you
we
for
did it.
birthing our book in the world with us. It's so deeply appreciated. And and you are free to go as and wish. And actually, I just wanted to say, Nicola, is there anything you want to add as our publisher who's
Oh, yes.
Nicola was thrown in the deep end of doing emotional check-ins with us when she showed up to guide us.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I'm here for being thrown in at the deep end. Oh no, it's just such a joy to be here today after being on the journey for a few years with you and the book. And I'm just so delighted that this book gets to make its way into the world. And I know this is just the beginning now. So just sending you each so much love and congratulations and gratitude for, being willing to go on the journey and to bring the book through in the form that it wanted to come through in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicola.
And we have 2 minutes left. So I just want to get a closing word from each of our co-authors today. If we just bring that, and then we'll close the session. Anyone want to go first?
Well, I'll just do a quick emotional check-in, which is that I am feeling thrill and joy and love and more thrill and connection and gratitude.
Yeah, I echo so much gratitude and excitement, thrill, passion for the subject of emotions and getting this work out in the world and hopefully changing the way people engage with emotions. So much love for everybody here today. We really appreciate seeing you and feeling your support.
I'll go next, and it's the circle is what I'm seeing. The circle is expanded. We had in our minds that circle was going to be the next reader or the sixth person in our circle of being together and feeling emotions and feeling the humanity of the emotions. And you all have exceeded our expectations by showing up and being a bigger part and bigger expansion of that circle even more. And so that's deep gratitude for that. Thank you.
I'll go. Just feeling into the love here. Yeah. So I hope you all receive that for yourselves, like really receive it. Yeah. And then I'm feeling into the gratitude. And then before I got on the call, I had a real sense of pride, and it brings tears to my eyes. So I just want to share that I'm like a mama bear over here, really proud of this group, of all of you for showing up and making time in your busy lives to celebrate with us. It feels really profound and powerful. And so thank you for witnessing, and thank you for being here and normalizing this work with us. It's so important.
I'd echo all of that. And I just want to share that, we wrote this book not knowing how it would connect, who it would connect with. And today's been the first step. Well, the first step of many, but the big one out into the world with this book. And I feel accepted, held, excited. Just hearing other people's responses is so helpful to us, because it teaches us how to speak about this and how to bring it out more. And that invitation is just please share widely, please pass the book on and let people know, really. If it's something that you feel is important, we would really, really be grateful for that. And so you can take a moment for yourself, place a hand on the heart if you want to, and just say, I think it's one of those mantras that we forget that's so simple. Thank yourself for being here today. And thank yourself for witnessing parts of yourself, perhaps in the experiential part of today. And with that, we shall close the session. Thank you all so much for being here. We so appreciate you. And Conrad has popped our website in the chat, just in case anyone doesn't have it. So thank you all so much.
Very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll close the space and I'm just going to exit and